So we're talking business, and I want to go back almost 10, 13 years to when our major roadwork started, and we had running jokes about the Chinese, and we had moments of madness where we were like, oh my goodness, they're taking away everything and this government is corrupt. And they finished the Thika superhighway. And I've thought that in the time we began to understand that these people mean business, whether they're Japanese, whether they're Chinese, whether they're the EU, because I'm still in awe of that road, that stretch from Imali that takes you all the way up to Loitoktok. I think that was done by the EU, Strabag to be precise. I thought in that time, our local contractors got the memo, shape up, but apparently not. So about 2 weeks ago, we had an outing. Once in a while, we take the kids to the hub in Karen. And the reason I say once in a while is that we have to save for it. I am telling you, wonderful mall, wonderful experience. As a parent, you will be finished. Hey! But what I couldn't get over is, in the time it took that section, when you're on Gong Road and that section that takes you up towards the airport and then can take you to Kikuyu, in the time it took that to be completed, that stretch, that dusty stretch that takes you to the hub was still being worked on. It's still being worked on. The mall came up and the road is still being worked on. It's a small stretch. My friends, what's wrong? What's wrong? And you're going to bitch and complain and whine that the Chinese have got contracts and the Japanese have contracts and the Germans are taking our work. Well, my friend, if you were in charge of the Thika superhighway, we would still be at, I don't know, Muthaiga? What's wrong with us? I'm watching the work being done on Ngecha, and I think this Japanese company that's on the ground. By the way, don't mix up the Orientals, they don't like it. Chinese don't like being called Japanese, Japanese don't like being called Chinese, and Koreans don't want to be called any of them, all right? But I'm usually on the road taking my daughter to school by 7:10 in the morning. These guys are already up. I'm like, hey, where? Mulifika Sangapi. And if I come home late, on the occasional days I work late or I have a function, they're still on. They're still on at 6:30. It's like their motto is to work until there's no light. Meanwhile, our pals, I want to know, who's working on Dennis Pritt? What is this thing you've done? There's a bump, an ugly big one, and a pedestrian crossing, and another bump. What are you doing? What are you doing? The traffic you cause because there's no thought in what you're doing, and then you do it so badly. For a fact, you're going to come back and remove that fat, ugly bump. Well, what are you doing? And then you're going to complain and say that Jubilee is corrupt. They're tenderpreneurs. They've given the jobs to other people. But you're a joke a minute. While we're still trying to complete that little stretch to the hub, have you seen the cover that's been laid like between the Sarit Center and all the way to Westgate and up the hill? I mean, man. And for me, that is my route, huh? And I remember there was a point where a bit of a carburetor wasn't really well aligned and it was dug up. Oh, please, don't tell my brother Kamau to redo a bad job. He just doesn't roll like that. The job is so seamless. There's almost a complete merger between the carburetor and the tarmac. How are we ever going to compete if we can't raise our standards? It's been 13 years, guys. Either we get our act together or we accept that the jobs be given to the people who can do it well. Enough whining. If we can't do it, somebody else needs to get the tender. Who's the joker on Dennis Pritt? I want to know. Who is that? Who is that? And can the person who is doing the stretch to the hub finish before Christmas? Maybe. Before we do a new bypass? Maybe. Subscribe.